What's up everyone, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech, and in this video I'll be showing you 45 plus best features of the Samsung Galaxy A7. Now I've already made a dedicated video on the tips and tricks section, link for that is in the description, definitely check out that video. Now with that said, the first best feature about this phone would be the display. Yeah, I know a triple camera setup is a huge thing, but first let's cover the display. Now this phone has a 6-inch Super AMOLED display with Full HD Plus resolution in the new 18.5:9 aspect ratio, protected by 2.5D curved Corning Gorilla Glass 3. Samsung calls it Infinity Display, but it isn't. But still, it's a pretty good display with good sunlight legibility, with great viewing angles, and pure blacks. So for media consumption, especially watching videos, this display is just awesome. Now the second best thing about this phone would be the triple camera setup. On the rear, it has a 24 megapixel primary camera with f1.7 aperture. That's followed by an 8 megapixel wide angle camera with f2.4 aperture. And finally, it has a 5 megapixel third camera with f2.2 aperture for taking portrait shots. Now the cameras on this phone are not awesome, but it's a different combination and does give you pretty good results. Now the next best feature would be the wide angle lens. Well, I've already covered it, but here's a bit more information. Now unlike your regular camera, this wide angle camera actually gives you 120-degree field of view, so you get to see a much bigger picture. It's like adding a new dimension to your existing primary camera. Now personally, I think this wide angle camera is more useful than your regular telephoto lens seen on the S9 Plus, Note 9 and even the latest iPhones. Now the next best feature would be the front facing camera. This phone comes with a 24 megapixel front facing camera with f2.0 aperture, and it is also supposed to be coming with an adjustable front LED light, but so far I couldn't see it in action. Now with that said, front facing camera is really good. You do get some pretty good selfies. These are some sample shots. Next we have live focus mode. This is another fancy name for portrait mode on Samsung phones. Now unlike other phones which simply take a portrait shot, on this phone you can actually change the amount of blur effect you want before taking a picture, and even after taking the picture you can change the focus point and the amount of blur effect you want. Very few phones offer this feature. Next we have portrait backdrop. Now using this feature, we can change the texture of the background. We can set it to crystal, pixel, time or crumbled. These are the sample shots. Next we have portrait dolly. Now once you take a portrait shot using this feature, you can make the background move backward and forward, giving you a moving picture kind of an effect. I am personally not a fan, but you can give it a try. Now the next best feature is the background blur shape. Now if you have a portrait shot with some lights in the background, you can change the shape of those lights to hearts, stars, polygons and all these shapes. Next we have always on display. Now just like the name suggests, once you enable this feature, display on your phone is always on even when you lock it. On the lock screen, you'll always see the time, date and notification icons. You can double tap the notification icon to open it. You have to obviously unlock the phone. Next you can also double tap the clock to go through different widgets. You can even control the music player from the lock screen. You can also change the style of the lock, add new widgets and customize it more. As this phone has an AMOLED display, this feature won't affect the battery life and it keeps moving around to prevent screen burn and issues. So on the whole, it's a pretty cool feature to show off. Now the next best thing about this phone would be the performance. This phone sports a Samsung Exynos 7885 octa-core processor with 2 Cortex A73 cores clocked at 2.2 GHz with 6 Cortex A53 cores clocked at 1.6 GHz, and it has a Mali G71 MP2 GPU. Now this processor is built using the 14nm FinFET process, so this processor is also pretty power efficient. So in terms of raw performance, it is definitely better than the Exynos 7880 chip, and it's comparable with the Snapdragon 636 seen in the Redmi Note 5 Pro. Now the next best feature about this phone would be the electronic image stabilization. So this phone also offers electronic image stabilization while recording video, and the footage looks quite stable. Here's the sample footage. Next we have Scene Optimizer. Now Samsung also offers you AI mode just like all the brands these days and calls it Scene Optimizer. Now in this mode, phone intelligently detects 9 different scenarios and optimizes each shot to give you picture perfect composition. It just means it improves the dynamic range and improves the color reproduction to make it a bit more saturated and more pleasing. Next we have Pro Lighting. Now while taking selfies, you can also change the lighting effects to get a more balanced image. You can add front lighting, left lighting, right lighting, and even left and right lighting. Next we have navigation gestures. Just enable this feature and hide the navigation bar by double tapping the dot on the left side, and then you can use the navigation gestures. You can swipe on the right side to go back, swipe on the center to go home, swipe on the left side for recent apps. It's just like using the regular buttons, but instead you're just swiping. So as of now, their implementation is kinda poor. Next we have block accidental touches, which is another fancy name for pocket mode. Once you enable this feature, it prevents the screen from detecting touch input when your phone is in your pocket. Next we have Smart Stay. Once you enable this feature, your phone's display will stay on as long as you're using it. This is really useful while reading, say, an article or a book on your phone. Next we have Smart Capture. I don't know if this is a new feature or not, but once you enable this feature, every time you take a screenshot, you get additional options to use Bixby Vision, draw something on it, crop it, or even take a long screenshot. Now the next most highlighting feature about this phone would be the fingerprint scanner. Now unlike the previous Samsung phones, this time Samsung has put a fingerprint scanner on the right side, just like some of the Sony phones. Now the power button on this phone is much more bigger, flatter, and also acts like a fingerprint scanner. Now the fingerprint scanner isn't all that fast, like it takes like a second to unlock the phone, and it's actually kinda hard to find it without actually looking at it, which is something I really hate. Next we have fingerprint gesture. Now once you enable this feature, you can swipe up or down on the fingerprint scanner to pull down the notification bar and send it back up. Initially I thought it was super handy, but after some usage I was accidentally triggering it, so I completely disabled it later. Next we have face unlock. Now just like most of the phones these days, even this phone comes with face unlock feature, and just like all the previous Samsung phones, it is still kinda slow. In good lighting conditions it takes like a second. I've even enabled faster facial recognition, but still it takes like a second to unlock the phone, and in complete darkness it takes like 2 seconds to unlock the phone. So it works, but I wish it was much more faster and more usable. Next, this phone has a dedicated SD card slot. Unlike many other phones, this phone has 2 SIM trays along with a dedicated SD card slot. So that's a unique thing, and with the dedicated SD card slot, you never have to worry about storage on this phone. Next, this phone supports native video calling. Now this is definitely not a huge deal, but this phone definitely offers you option to make and receive video calls directly from the stock phone dialer. There are still many phones out there which simply doesn't support this feature, while the Samsung does. Now the next best feature on this phone is the secure folder. Now this feature has a simple name called secure folder, but offers you a lot of things. For starters, you can hide files in it, you can create your secure notes, you can even drag and drop applications into this folder and use them as dual apps. And if you have any applications where security is a priority, let's say like net banking applications, so you can put all those applications in this secure folder and make them more secure. It is basically like a secure box inside your phone where you can hide files and keep applications safe. Now the next best feature on this phone would be the Bixby Vision. Now once you open the camera application and click the button on the left corner, it will open Samsung Mall and then open the camera application. Then you simply point at an object and take a picture. Now this phone or the Bixby Vision will scan the image and try to find that product for you. It is not very accurate, but it does work sometimes. Next, this phone has Dolby Atmos sound enhancement. You can enable it using the toggle, or you can simply go to the sound settings and enable it manually. You have different profiles like movie, music, voice. Once you select a profile, it will change the audio for a better experience. You also have equalizer settings just below the Dolby Atmos settings. If you're an audiophile and want to change these equalizer settings, you can come here. Next, this phone even has themes. Now there are hundreds of themes to choose from, both paid and free, and I personally like this high contrast theme. It has a complete black theme and looks really good on an AMOLED display. If you have this phone, definitely give this theme a try. Now the next best feature on this phone are stickers. To use this feature, open the camera application, select the front facing camera, swipe and select stickers. Now you get all these different stickers to choose from. Once you select any one of these, you will see an overlay of these stickers on your face, and this is how they look. Next we have a feature called Selfie Focus, which is nothing but portrait selfies where the subject or the person in the frame is visible, where the background is completely blurred out. Edge detection isn't perfect, but it does a pretty good job. Next we have Wide Selfie. Now this phone comes with a wide angle lens for the front facing camera, and it does take some wide angle selfies, but if you want to take much wider selfies, you can use this feature. It is just like the panorama mode for the front-facing camera. It takes 3 pictures in different angles and stitches them to give you a bigger wide-angle picture. Next we have auto call recording. To enable this feature, open the phone dialer, then go to settings and then select record calls. From here you can record all calls or specific calls and even enable to show notification once the call recording has been done. Next we have Samsung Pay Mini, which is the mini version or the stripped down version of the Samsung Pay that you can find in Samsung flagships like the Samsung S8, S9 Plus and so on. It is more like a small application that links with your MobiKwik, Paytm, FreeCharge accounts along with your bank accounts and helps you make some payments. I wouldn't recommend you using this app, but you can check out the offers and the banners on the homepage for some cashback offers. Next we have blue light filter. Now just like the name suggests, once you enable this feature, it puts a warm tint on the screen and filters blue light, which is supposed to help you sleep better at night. We can also change the intensity of the filter using the slider, and we can also schedule it to turn on and turn off automatically at a specific time. Next, we have the option to change font. Usually most Android phones doesn't give you the option to change font, while this phone does. Now you can choose any one of these fonts, or if you're not satisfied, download more from the online library. Next we have easy mode. Now if this phone is going to be used by some elderly people, then you can enable easy mode for them. Once you enable this feature, everything on your phone will be enlarged. Your home launcher will change, all the icons will become bigger, font size will increase, and it just makes the phone more readable for elder people. Next we have Game Launcher. Now once you enable this feature, it'll create a folder called Game Launcher on your home screen and keeps all the games in that folder. Now from this interface, you can change your performance mode. You can set it to normal performance or battery saver. Every time you play a game, your phone will automatically switch to that power profile. Besides that, we can also mute games. Now that's not all. Once you open a game, you can find an extra button on the navigation bar. Once you click it, you get additional options to take a screenshot, to record the screen, lock the navigation bar, and even lock the screen without turning it off. On the whole, it gives you a lot of cool features, especially while gaming. Next we have a feature called one-handed mode. Now once you enable this feature and swipe up from the bottom left corner or right corner, screen size will shrink and your phone will become much more usable with a single hand. Once you are in this mode, you can click this small button to switch the screen left side or right side. Now if you don't like this gesture, you can select the second option and click the home button 3 times to use the phone in one-handed mode. Next we have a fingerprint gesture to pull down the notification bar. Once you enable this feature, swipe down on the fingerprint scanner to pull down the notification bar and swipe it up to send it back. This is really a very handy feature. Next we have multi-window shortcut. Now usually on all phones you can simply press and hold the recent apps button to open split screen mode. On this phone, we need to enable this particular toggle to use that feature. Simply enable it and press and hold the recent apps button to open the current application in split screen mode in the top window. After that, you can select the secondary application. Once you open 2 applications in the split screen mode, you can click at the button at the center for extra options. Next, we have a feature called pop-up view, which is very unique to Samsung phones. Once you enable this feature, you can simply swipe down from the top left or top right corner and the current application will open in a floating window. I really never had any use for this particular feature, but it might come in handy for some people. Now there are 2 options on the top. The leftmost option is to minimize that application and the second one is to maximize the application. Next we have palm swipe to capture. Now before I show you what this feature does, let me show you how to take a normal screenshot. For that, simply press the volume down and power buttons both at the same time. Once you do that, your phone will take a screenshot. Now for some reason if you're not able to do that or want an easy way, you can enable this feature called palm swipe to capture. Once you enable this feature, you can simply swipe the display of your phone with your palm to take a screenshot, and this is how you need to do it. Sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it works without any problems. Next we have Smart Alert. Once you enable this feature, every time you pick up your phone will vibrate if you have a missed call or a message. Next we have Easy Mute. Once you enable this feature, you can mute incoming calls and alarms by placing your hand over your phone or by turning your phone face down. Next we have swipe to call or send message. In the phone dialer, you can simply swipe left or right on the contact to make a call or send a message. It's not a great feature, but a very nice shortcut. Next we have Dual Messenger, which is like dual apps for Samsung. Using this feature, you can have 2 Snapchat accounts, 2 Facebook accounts, or even 2 WhatsApp accounts on the same phone. Sadly, we can't use this feature for all the applications. Like if you want 2 Paytm accounts on the same phone, we can't do it with this feature. If you really want to do that, you can use the secure folder feature which I mentioned at the start. Now the final and probably the best feature is the maximum power saving mode. On previous Samsung phones, it was called as ultra power saving mode. Once you enable this mode, it will decrease the screen brightness, set speed limiter, restrict background network usage, limit the number of apps that you can use, and apply a dark theme. On the whole, it does all these things to improve the standby time of your phone. Now, even in this mode, you can still use Wi-Fi, Bluetooth mobile data, watch videos, and do all the regular stuff. If you're on a very long journey, just enable this mode and you will have a great battery life. So guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It always helps the channel. And if you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with the hashtag AskGreedyTech on Twitter and we will try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.